everybody, and welcome back to another day of ABMP's Meditate and Move series. I'm Lynn Teachworth.
And I'm Ann Teachworth.
And we are the co-founders of Trunamics, which is an educational company devoted to making good therapists great. So what are we doing today, Ann? The last couple of days we've been doing a lot of function for the lower body and upper body, learning about getting the body out of flexion and teaching it how to be neutral and to go into extension a little bit. So what are we going to do today?
Yeah, we're going to head to sort of more the structural body and specifically structural embodiment. So in addition to being a massage therapist and yoga teacher, I'm also a Franklin Method educator, and we work a lot with embodiment using imagery and touch and different visuals to help us get more into the body, the experience of the body, how it's designed, how it moves. And we find this to be really helpful for the mind-body connection, body-mind connection, and improving balance, organization, function in the body. And it also has a great side benefit of calming and centering the mind. So perfect for our Meditate and Move series. We're going to play a little bit with the muscle and fascia of the shoulder and the chest area, just because we tend to get very tight there. So this will help create a sense of openness and lift in that area. So first, what we're going to do is start with noticing the body. So maybe even just close your eyes and tune into the body. We want to see where it is before we start moving or changing anything, just so we can kind of see where we are today. So notice the feet on the ground, notice the hips, where the weight is in the body. Notice the breath, shoulders, just dropping down into the body with our awareness. See if you can actually quiet and calm the mind. So we're moving more from the thinking mind into the feeling and sensing body. Great. And then we're going to take our right hand and put it on the left trapezius. We're going to begin with some sponging. This is a classic Franklin Method activity. You even got a sponge here. So what you're going to do is squeeze the trapezius like you're squeezing a sponge, and then release. And as you do that, can you really picture the trapezius as the sponge? And it's not so far-fetched. Our cells are filled with water. We're 60 to 70% water. We've got all that nice hyaluronan in there, holding on to water, hyaluronic acid. So as we squeeze the sponge, where you could maybe even picture we're like squeezing out the goo and the grime, and then as we release the sponge, could you picture the trapezius filling with crystal clear, cool water? Now, not entirely physiologically accurate, but we're using a metaphor. Move to different places on the trapezius. Explore that sensation. You might even take the head in different directions as you sponge the trapezius. And you may even feel as you squeeze, sponge, and release the trapezius, sliding over some of the muscles that are underneath it. So each time you sponge, wringing out anything you don't want, and each time you release, picture that trapezius plumping up, filling up with nice cool water. And we'll just do one squeeze and reach forward, and then squeeze and reach back. And then shake it out as we squeeze and go to the side. And then let's head out to the deltoid, and we'll do the same, but as we sponge on the deltoid, let's turn the humerus underneath. So sponge the deltoid, kind of pulling the deltoid forward, and rotate the humerus back, and then reverse. And you'll notice as you sponge and squeeze on the deltoid, you can actually slide the humerus underneath it. There's a nice bursa between there. So we're going to squeeze and rotate, sliding the deltoid over the bursa underneath, the insertions for the rotator cuff muscles, the humeral head. And then let's hold on to the deltoid, and we're just going to sink down towards the ground. So all of this fascia, trapezius fascia, just continues into deltoid fascia. So we can actually pull into the neck via the deltoid. So we'll take the head in the opposite direction. And now we're really feeling into the fascial sheath that is connecting from deltoid to trapezius up to the side of the neck. Maybe take the head forward and back as you're doing this. And then slight rotation in the head, feeling those different lines of pull through the fascia that continues up from deltoid to trapezius. The same fascia that contains the trapezius contains the sternocleidomastoid. So we're getting nice release in all of that. Great. And then let that arm hang. Already, mine's feeling nice, relaxed, released.
Good.
Yeah, so we've got a little bit more to go though. Let's do a little on the upper arm. So grab the bicep first. Now we have these multiple compartments here that we could think of. So we have these intermuscular septae that divide the bicep group and the tricep group, kind of running from the deltoid down to the epicondyle. So slide along that. So we're between bicep, brachialis, and the tricep. Sliding on fascia. So we like to think, we can use imagery for muscle or think about muscle, but we could also really think about fascia and its different jobs. So here it's being a divider between these muscles, allowing slide, place for the nerves to go. We also have a medial septa there. And then we could grab onto the bicep and brachialis and twist it in one direction as we again move the humerus in the other direction, giving some stretch into even the periosteum as the muscle goes into the bone. And this is something we can do in our hands-on work too, where we're not just thinking about muscle, but we can put a certain amount of pull in a certain direction. Let's go to the triceps now. And as we put that tension or pull in a certain direction and angle, then we can allow the body to do the release work, letting the body melt, release, soften.
I think that's a really important point as a therapist, right? Because we're not really doing anything, we're just applying some pressure and information, and the brain's doing the rest of it. So sometimes it can take a long time being in one area till the body reorganizes it. It's a great feeling. It's less on us.
So I really like to grab, especially around the lateral and medial epicondyles, to grab a chunk of that tissue and just grip and kind of pull and let it release. So just above the elbow and then just below the elbow, and then also on the medial side. Nice. And then let's grab the epicondyles. We're going to give a little stretch into the lat. So this fascia is actually all continuous back to the lat, back to the infraspinatus. We can stretch it across the body. And can you start to feel that pull down the back across the lat? So we're not just thinking muscle stretch, we're trying to stretch through the fascial body. We could even step our right foot forward and add some rotation as we stretch and feel the pull all the way. So we're pulling on the epicondyles, pulling across the lat into the opposite glute. So we've got some rotation, lateral flexion, pulling across the fascia. Awesome. Let that go. Ooh, notice the difference between sides.
My left arm's a lot longer.
Yeah, big difference. We might even compare arms and see, whoa. And then we'll give a little love to the pec since things get kind of tight up here. So we're gonna sponge on the pec major. And you really wanna just like grab onto the pec. So the front of the armpit there, sponging along, using that image of the sponge, squeezing out, just wringing out any goo. And as you release the sponge, letting it fill. Yeah, I can move the arm around so you can lift the pec off the chest. So here we have the pec major in the pectoralis fascia, and it's sliding on the pec minor in the clavipectoral fascia. So maybe you could even picture that as we move, and we'll take the arm forward and back. So as we go back, we're stretching the pec minor underneath the pec major and gripping onto the pec major, trying to create some slide between those two muscles and the fascia that encases them. Yeah, just one more there. Oh, nice.
That's great.
Yeah, so let's feel the difference between sides. I mean, obviously lifting that arm, range of motion is going to feel probably freer, easier. The arm just feels even lighter than the other arm.
Yeah.
Would you say? So when the arm feels lighter, that means I've increased the efficiency of my muscular recruitment and activity in that arm. And efficiency is a big deal for the body, right? Could even feel balance on that side, how it feels to stand on the foot. Maybe knee, leg feels more solid. Other side a little bit more.
Huge difference.
Yeah. All right. Let's go to the other side. So we'll start with the trapezius. Give it a sponge. Now, the more your mind is engaged in this process, the better results. So I could mindlessly just kind of rub, and that's nice. But you are in your own body. You could use that imagery to create even greater release and ease, melting in the tissues. So we'll get our awareness in there. We're engaging proprioception, but also interoception. So we're sponging the trapezius, letting it fill with nice, crystal, cool, clear water. Also feeling it slide on some tissues underneath it. And we could sponge and reach forward, and sponge and reach back. We'll take once more on this side, reach forward, reach back, and then let it hang down to the side while we sponge, a little shake, 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 shake. And then we'll slide down to the deltoid. See if you can find the back edge of the deltoid. So we'll have tricep that runs up underneath there, but can you grab onto the back lip and kind of pull it forward as you're rotating the humerus back. So we're sliding the humerus underneath, and then we can also rotate it forward while we try to grab the front edge of the deltoid and pull it back. So we're getting nice slide in that subdeltoid bursa and the spaces on either side of that. Also sponging in the deltoid, feeling it melt, soften, release. Now we don't know exactly what's happening in tissue, but we felt the difference on the other side, right? So we use imagery, we engage the mind and the body, and we enjoy the results. So let's grab onto the deltoid. Now we're gonna work with feeling that whole fascial encasing that goes deltoid trapezius up the neck. So we'll drop the head in the opposite direction, pulling down on the deltoid and the fascia that is around the deltoid. And we could nod yes, shake no. Really feeling how that stretches up into that whole investing fascia around sternocleidomastoid and trapezius. So even up to the side of the jaw, think about stretching the jaw towards the ceiling as you're pulling down on deltoid. Great. We'll shake that out. Whew, yeah.
Feels great.
And then let's find the end of deltoid, the tip of the deltoid, and we'll just give a massage along that, the lateral intramuscular septum there, down to the epicondyle. We can find the medial side as well, maybe a little more nervy on the medial side. And then we'll start by grabbing the bicep and the brachialis and creating some pull in the tissues. So not just the muscle, but also feeling the fascia, the connection all the way down to the bone. So putting our awareness in there, and then just adding some pull movement to encourage better movement and release. And then we could do the triceps as well. So when we increase awareness, when we have our mind in that area, we're increasing proprioceptive feedback. The brain has a better picture of what's going on in the body, and so it can navigate better. More information equals better navigation. So we can recruit muscles better. The brain senses, the body feels more safety in movement, which means we're going to have more movement available. Great. Let's grab onto the epicondyles then, and we're gonna find that stretch across the back. So this fascia is gonna continue back to the infraspinatus, and then cross the lat, and then we could even find that continuing down into the opposite glute. So putting the left foot forward on this side is gonna give us that stretch into the glute. See if you can pull on those points and feel the fascial pull all the way down to the opposite glute, maybe even down into IT band, down the leg. So especially nice to feel the movement of the thoracolumbar fascia, kind of across the lower back area and sacrum, getting pull movement there. And maybe you change the orientation of the pull to feel different angles of that sheet. It's this very large sheet of connective tissue. Whew, very nice.
Yeah.
So you feel very open across the back. And then let's give the pec that last little, the pec is always like the cherry on top for me, getting this front open and released. So we'll go into sponge there, using some movement of the arm to help us pull away the pectoralis major off of that clavipectoral fascia underneath with the pec minor, sponging. Yeah, and then we can start that reach back and forward. Especially as we go back, we're stretching pec minor. We could even brush the thumb up along the pec minor as we reach back. Continuing to sponge pec major. And just think of nice sliding, slippery spaces between pec major and pec minor. Oh yeah. Your favorite type of oil maybe? Coconut oil, olive oil in that space. Everything's sliding around nicely. Whew. Good, so check back in. Compare to when you first were noticing. Weight might feel different on the feet. My pelvic orientation feels a little bit different. Shoulders, chest, definitely feeling different. Neck relaxed, arm movement. So when we can combine this embodied sense with our anatomical knowledge that we already have, bring in some nice educated touch, it just gives the body that extra information it needs to more fully release and integrate and move into a balanced state. So hopefully that's feeling nice for your shoulders. Anything you wanted to feeling all right?
It's outstanding. Feel great. I love it.
Good. So obviously you can play with that at any part of the body, sponging, melting, things like that. But this should get you going for your day or be a nice little break throughout the day, and hope you enjoy, and we'll see you again tomorrow.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.